Hello, I'm Vicki McClifty from AM Healing My Soul TV, and today I'm talking with Molly Brumm, who is a kinesiologist, and we'll be talking about how kinesiology can help you with your grief and depression and whatever it is that you're going through. It helps you release your emotions. Welcome, Molly.
Thank you, Vicki.
Yeah, how are you today?
Oh, good.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'll just a background as to how you got to kinesiology and what happened that led you to kinesiology.
Okay. I was living in Melbourne and I was a student and I was quite sick, and I kept going to the GP who kept giving me antibiotics, and I had an epiphany and I thought, these aren't working. And I'd also had a friend give me a card for a kinesiologist.
Right.
What?
What's kinesiology?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know, do they?
I didn't know, and I went, and for a long time I've thought kinesiology is better demonstrated. If you feel it, you can really feel the changes. I couldn't explain it for a long time, but now I'd explain it like I'm your stress GPS. So kinesiology will work out exactly where you're holding the stress, and it will also work from the energetic level, so out here in your auric field, and you'll come into your chakras right down to your physical body, cellular level.
It sounds wonderful. Have you experienced grief yourself and then used it for that as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of grief, really, when I think back over the years, when you think of all the people who have died and the ways they have died.
Yeah.
But the most compelling would be my mum, and she had breast cancer.
Okay.
And 4 years after her death was when I was really sick with this lung coughing thing, and I thought I was going to break a rib. I didn't even think of mum at that point. And on a more conscious level, I was also sad. So that's also grief, but I was sad and feeling the loss of a dream, because I had trained and geared my whole life up to be an actor, and I was going to teach. So I was doing my teaching degree, and I thought that was the end of the world, as you do in your early 20s, everything's that big. So I was very sad about that. I had this thing, I thought I was going to break a rib if I kept coughing this hard, and so I went to see this kinesiologist, and he... with kinesiology, you massage points, you work with acupoints, you can work with sound, like this is sound therapy over here.
Okay.
You can work with essential oils, so perfumes, essences, flower essences. So you work vibrationally, but also physically.
Right.
I walked out of my first session and I thought, I've got Molly back.
Wow.
And then I thought, I don't know where she went.
Yeah.
Because if you think you got yourself back, then you start thinking, where'd I go?
Yeah. Because there's that a fog that you're in when you lose someone. There's this grief where you're there but you're not there. It's like it's your shell that's there. Yeah. And it can take a period of time before you actually recognise that it's been grief that you've been in.
And you can see it in other people, that they're going through the motions.
Yeah.
You keep doing things and people tell you it takes time and you kind of just got to keep going and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then the next question is, while it's taking that time, what could you do to support yourself and to help move things that are stuck?
Yeah.
Because when emotions get stuck, your body gets stuck.
Yeah.
Like that's a dramatic way to show it.
That's when disease and illness sets in, doesn't it? Because you're at that low vibration as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because grief is the lowest. It is the lowest vibration. So it's definitely going to be something that will affect you physically and mentally.
And if you're at that really low vibration, you will attract low vibration experiences.
Yeah.
So that's where other negative things can happen in your life.
Yeah.
Because you're already down there, if you like.
So it's about letting people, giving people the knowledge that there's something there that can help them from the very beginning, really, of grief, because often we let it go for years and years and years, and then it just builds up and builds up and builds up, and then we become wrecks, train wrecks.
Or something even bigger happens to you, and that will then push you to get help.
Yeah.
So it's like you can go that far, or you could step in a bit earlier and get support that's actually really, it's non-invasive, it's really supportive, it's like having somebody hold your hand and just say, we can walk this part of your journey together.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something important I'd like to say is, it's not something you get over. And I had a boyfriend say that because I really wanted him to meet my mum and he couldn't.
Yeah.
And a bit like with the photo, I showed him a photo of my mum and I said, well, this is the only way you can meet her. She would have really liked you and I think you would have really liked her. He had never lost anybody in his life and he probably was really uncomfortable and he just went, oh, you should be over it by now. Oh. And that was 2 years after she died. And I think because of my own life experiences, I could see that. So I wasn't too harsh on him, but I just thought, you don't get it and you won't get it until you've actually lost somebody who's really close to you and means the world to you. And there's a sense they are still with you. It's not like...
No.
But it's hard, isn't it? It's like they're in another room, but you can't visit them.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
you can't ring
frustrating.
Them up. You know, I wanted to ring Mum and say, Mum, I'm pregnant now, help. What was it like for you? What did you do? And there's no phone to heaven. And I was, you know.
That's true. And I think it's a community that forms of people that have lost someone that they love because they all understand what each one's going through, whereas people don't know how to treat you when you've gone through grief, as you said, with your friend, and often they will just vanish out of your life because they don't know what to say and they feel a little bit fearful, I think.
And they can pull right back.
Yeah, I don't know whether they think that the ghost is going to pounce on them or something, but...
I don't know what it is. I suppose they just feel so uncomfortable and that feeling of powerlessness, you can't help. Yeah. And I imagine that can make people pull back from somebody who's really grieving. Yeah. So there's what I mentioned before, you've got compassion fatigue. Yes. Where you just, oh, do we have to go through this again and have another cup of tea, Vicki? Yeah. Spoonful of sugar for the chef, Vicki. You know, but there's also the person who they'll just pull away because it's so uncomfortable. Yeah. And they're all ways that we deal or cope with something. They're not necessarily the best way of coping.
Yeah, that's right. So if someone came to you in grief, how long would would there be a time frame that you could give them for healing with kinesiology?
Well, everybody's unique. So I would be loath to say, person A, one session will do it, baby. You know, person B, you're the long haul trip. Yeah, we're going to go for a long time. Yeah. So I think it really depends. Kinesiology is so individualised. So everybody comes in and they have their own unique set of circumstances. Yep. They have their own way of holding the grief in their body. Yep. And they even have underneath that subconscious beliefs that will drive their situation without them even realising it. Yeah. Somebody might have been told, get over it.
But also, I suppose, they can be affected by things that have happened to them in the past as well. And so they've got underlying emotions from some other trauma that's happened. Yes. And then each trauma will build up if they've not released those emotions. So you can be doing 2 or 3 lots of grief healing with that person, couldn't you? Depending on how old they are and everything.
The kinesiology will give you the priority. Yeah. Where's the priority right now for that person? Yeah. And then it'll give you a clear picture of, you might need, say, 3 sessions. Yep. You might need 5. Yep. That was also what I liked about it. There was a sense, when I said I got myself back, there was a sense I was really going to progress. Yep. And I didn't know how long, but I was willing to commit to whatever that journey was because it's not painful, and being stuck in grief actually is painful.
Yeah, it is painful. Well, I might get you to show me a few of these little tricks of the tray that you've got.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yes, show us what you can, what have you got there?
Okay, well, I brought in a couple of things that are visual because it's pretty hard to show energy on camera, isn't it? Yeah. But the way a kinesiologist works is we will use muscles and do muscle monitoring to find out where you're holding the stress. Okay. And there's a lot in that, but I won't go into that in detail. But basically I want to say that with grief, I don't believe you can outgrow it. I don't think you can outrun it, and I don't think you can outthink it. Yeah. It becomes part of who you are, but it doesn't have to be a debilitating part of who you are. You always want to honour the person that you loved.
Yeah, definitely.
Or at some point you want to remember, say it was the loss of a job caused the grief, because grief can be for so many different things. You might be so angry and annoyed about the loss of that job, but there's a point where you'd like to be free of that anger and remember the good stuff about it and why you enjoyed it and what you could actually take with you into the next part of your journey.
Yeah, which is the same as when you lose, like I lost my son. So it's when you get through that pain, it's about celebrating his life and then remembering all the fun times that we had. So you don't want to be remembering that dreaded night, and you don't want to be remembering what was the lead up to it all and the anger that happens on the night, or disgruntledness with doctors and things like that. You don't want all of that, the bad memories. You want to have all the good memories.
I think that part of it is you don't want the shock of the event to be all. You actually, like you said, you want to celebrate. There's other things. There's the good and the bad, but for a time, it's like the bad overwhelms us.
I mean, I know I was in a fog for a few years after I lost Adam, and I couldn't even think clearly. I couldn't even imagine my life going ahead the way I felt, for a few years, and very much like my heart was broken physically. And I know that it can really affect the energy with your body, and I would feel sometimes like I was going to have a heart attack. That's what it would feel like. And I was so upset. And it's a physical pain that you actually feel, and it's very hard to describe. Because it's so physical, the pain.
And under it, I think there's a sense of hopelessness. Will I ever get over this? Is there... And people might give you platitudes. There's light at the end of the tunnel, Vicki. And you feel like swearing at them. Go away.
But then you put on it... Like I would put on a face.
The happy face?
Oh, everything's fine. Everything's fine. And then I'd have one particular friend that I would see, and I would be... I don't know how many times I burst into tears when we met up for coffee in public. I was crying. It was like, but I was real with her. And with other people I couldn't be real. And that's a problem in today's society, is that people can't be themselves because they feel like they're being judged, that, they should be getting over it. And I don't know where that comes from, this I should be getting over it, but that's how it was for me.
Well, that's the strange thing of saying there's a time limit. I had a client recently who we discovered a subconscious belief to do with unresolved grief and an expectation that it had to be like put away. And by not fully expressing it, then it does get suppressed, and it will manifest maybe in a physical illness, maybe in repetitive thoughts that you just can't get rid of, obsessive thoughts, all sorts of ways. But would you like me to show you something?
Give me a demo.
So now, when we do muscle testing, I'm going to just use this particular muscle. So I'm just going to press lightly. So match my pressure. And this is the joy of kinesiology. It's non-invasive. You stay dressed.
That's good. I don't want to be taking my clothes off.
No, like in a massage or something. It's a bit different to that. But, so match my pressure and hold. And then if I just physically challenge that muscle and feel it start really unlocks, so we'll turn it back on again. Now, as we've said, grief is a journey. So I've picked out a couple of really... clear emotions that can happen. So I'm just going to scan those and I'll read them out as I do it, and we'll see which one matches for you. So just at this moment where you are in your life journey coping with the death of your son, which I know is a very big thing. So just match my pressure and hold. So we're looking for when your muscle unlocks. Okay? So we've got pining, holding on, stuck, anger, feeling hysterical, sort of out of control emotions, needing soothing, feeling rejected, deep hurt, feeling alone or alienated, sadness, ongoing hurt. That's the one. So now I'll just hold that energy in my body like a recording, if you like. So we've got this unlocking muscle. So let's see if sound would be a key thing for you. So I'm just going to ask, will sound help at this stage? It will. So each one of these represents a meridian,
Okay.
So I'm just going to find, if you match my pressure and hold, I'm just going to find the meridian. Surprise, surprise, it's the lung meridian.
Oh!
And lung is in the Chinese medicine metal, so it's really tied in with grief.
Yeah.
Let's see what it's in relation to. Lung in heart.
Okay.
So we've
that
got,
all ties in.
It does. Now, are you right-handed?
Yes.
Good. So I'll hold the lung because that's our first meridian.
Okay.
So remember I've said things like latitude and longitude?
Yes.
So it's like here's the lung meridian and here's where it connects with heart, that point.
Okay.
I'm just going to stand up and I'll
Okay.
come behind your ears. And now,
I have a ringing in my ears.
Yeah. Well, sound is powerful, and sometimes we don't make certain sounds. We won't go there.
Yeah.
So you can do a whole sound balance. But let's have a look now and see. So if you match my pressure and hold, and we just ask the question about ongoing hurt. Okay. So that's released it.
That's released it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Now let's see if there's one other one we can.
Okay.
You've got guilt, denial, raw emotions, and I'll go back through just this list. I've really narrowed it down, so obviously you can go wider, but I've narrowed it for the point of the interview. So pining, holding on, anger, soothing, rejected comes up. So underneath the ongoing hurt, maybe there's some sense of rejection. Not that he rejected you by dying, but it might have triggered feelings of loss and rejection in the past.
Yeah.
So let's see now if there's a flower essence that would help with that. So we've got rejection or rejected, and we've got these flower essences are here. That one straight away seems to come up. Okay, so this flower essence, you can have it on a pulse point, or you can have a couple of drops in your mouth. How would you? Might be easier on a pulse point today.
Point, yeah.
Yeah. So just put a drop there, and you can rub that into your pulse points. Yeah. And flower essences work vibrationally.
Okay. Do you rub it in?
Oh, it'll dry pretty quickly. It's very straightforward. So let's have a look. And in relation to your grief and feelings of rejection, now that's holding really well. Does it need anything more? No. So we could go again, just on that. So we've sort of done a layering in a simple way. So pining, holding on, anger, soothing, deep hurt, alienated, guilt.
Oh, yeah.
Underneath everything. That makes sense, doesn't it? So now let's see if one of the, this is aromatherapy and colour therapy, if one of these would help with the guilt. Not that one. That one will. Okay.
Well, there's always an underlying guilt with a mother losing a child, I think.
You can relax your arm, and thinking, could I have done more? What if I'd done this? What if I hadn't done that? What if somebody else had done X, Y, Z?
Yeah.
And it just can radiate out, kind of.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So the one you picked is turquoise.
Oh.
And this is beautiful. These are from the south of France. They're organic perfumes. So here we go. Rub your hands together. And then let it dry a little bit.
Oh man, that smells so nice.
Just bring it up and take in deep breaths. Just breathe that in. Turquoise is beautiful.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And it will also help integrate, because something you mentioned before, being in a fog.
Okay. So so that smells amazing, Molly.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just trying to remember, where did we start? We ended up with guilt.
Guilt. Yes.
No, we ended up with and the layer at the bottom was guilt. Then we had rejected. And the first one was deep hurt. That's right. And then so we went from sound, and we used an essence, and then we even used a aromatherapy tool.
Which is lovely.
Turquoise, and I'm just going to use myself. Well, actually, could use you. I will. Let's use you. Match my pressure and hold. And I'm just going to scan my turquoise book. I'll put it up there so I can see a bit better. loosening of all muscular tensions. And you can imagine all those feelings.
Rings a bell.
Yeah, you end up with a pattern.
Yeah.
That's what I find. And everybody will have their own unique pattern where you hold tension.
Yeah.
And
up here in my shoulders.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it kind of... And if you are compressing that, you could be compressing, not breathing fully.
Yes.
Because you don't swing your lungs out anymore because you don't take in a deep breath.
And that's true, like even with the years when I was, like the really early years of grief, if I took in a breath, it was like, you know how when you're crying and you get that sob? And that's how it was, even when I wasn't crying. I was like that all the time.
And a knot here, really painful. That part can constrict.
Yeah.
And that then would probably affect your heart and all sorts of things because physically you have constricted.
Yeah.
But
can understand why people die from a dying heart. You know, when they've lost their loved one.
A broken heart,
broken
for
heart,
sure.
sorry, not dying heart, but broken heart.
No, I actually said that at my father's funeral in the eulogy, that he lost his mum when he was only a little boy.
Yep.
And later in life, he suffered all this heart trouble to the point where he had a dissecting aorta and they did all sorts of operations. And when I had to write his eulogy, it just struck me that he'd had a broken heart since he was an 8-year-old boy, and he'd had to just cope with that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, as a man of 70, it finally took its toll.
Yeah.
His heart was like, that's enough. I can't keep going.
Yeah.
And I think that, and he was definitely what you said before, the happy face.
Yes.
Because in the flower essences, that's called, there's one in particular, it's an English flower essence, it's called agrimony. And you put on the happy face because underneath so sad and awful that you don't want to go there.
No.
And like you said, you can't. You can't just burst into tears at work and the coffee shop and all the places you need to be.
And with myself, I had 4 other children.
Yeah, you have to keep going.
And my husband, and, you know, mothers just keep on going, and you put on that happy face for the kids because I didn't want them to see me distressed because they had enough stress on their own going through the grief of losing their brother.
Well, you had 2 jobs there.
Yeah.
You were still mothering and you're trying to support the rest of the family in the grief.
Yeah.
But who's supporting you?
Yeah.
And that actually makes me feel quite sad even saying that to you.
Yeah, I know.
Because I remember feeling numb when my mum died. I felt nothing.
Yeah.
And because it was cancer, it took a long time.
Yeah.
And I remember once being really cross, probably angry, and I said to one of my best friends at the time, oh, why couldn't she just get hit by a bus and it's over and done with?
Yeah.
And at the same moment I said it, you feel like you're only in your 20s, how insensitive. His mum had died of breast cancer, but his father had suicided. And he said, no, you don't ever want that immediate kind of shock death. He said, at least you got a chance to say goodbye.
Yeah.
So he tried to gently help me, but lucky I had him.
Yeah.
Somebody who had no experience of it probably would have just been appalled.
Yeah.
Like, how could you say that? How could you wish your mother got hit by a bus?
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're going through, and people like Elizabeth Kubler-Ross have named the different stages.
Yeah.
And it's not linear. You can feel anger, you can feel numb, you can feel overwhelmed, you can go back, you can redo anger, you can go to denial.
Yeah, that's right.
You can cycle through them.
Yeah.
And it's, as I said before, it's when they get stuck. And that's when it really hurts.
Yeah, and that's when they can get into depression. And, you know, grief stays with you, but if you can't get out, you can get into depression, and then there can become a whole lot of other issues that can, you know, evolve from that. You know, they might decide to be drinking more alcohol, taking drugs, whatever, and then it's just a downward journey from there.
Well, with kinesiology, because each person is so unique, so I could get one person who can't stop crying.
Yep.
And they're just so overwhelmed that they'll burst into tears for no reason at all. Yeah. So then you can feel frustrated at yourself for that too and wish you could stop it, but you feel like you can't stop it. But then you could have a person who doesn't even realise they're grieving and they're a workaholic or they're just a party animal because they have gone, oh, I don't want to, go away.
Yeah.
And you get really, really busy.
Yeah.
And you fill yourself up, fill your day up so you're so flat out. So when you do get to bed, you can't think about what hurts. You're out like a light.
Yeah.
And with kinesiology, you go through those layers. So you might come in and just say, oh, I just feel a bit depressed about X, Y, and Z. But when we go through the different layers, it's not what appears on the surface. It's actually something a bit deeper. And with kinesiology, you can age recess. So I can ask your body, what is the key time? And it will take you back. And sometimes somebody will say, this is the problem. And when you go through age recession, it shows up, say, age 9. And they go, age 9? And you go, well, yeah, that was when you had an experience similar and you worked out how to cope. So it's a survival strategy. And you're still using that, but it's not working anymore.
Man, that's so cool. Kinesiology seems like it's such an excellent tool for working with grief, Molly. It's just
an amazing tool.
Yeah.
And it's a really kind tool because when you have a session, it's not like you'll fall apart completely and you can't be put back together. And that's, I think, why sometimes people don't want to talk about it anymore because they're scared they will go to that place and they will just be a blithering mess or a mess in whatever form it is.
So you don't actually have to tell the person what's going on in your life when someone comes to you. There's a lot of people, you know, a lot of places you go to, like say if you go see a counsellor and stuff like that, you have to talk about what's happened.
And you have to go over it and over it.
And so that's bringing up all the negativity that, you know, of what it does to your body, and then it can just keep on going on if you keep on going and seeing a counsellor. So this, I mean, it's good to talk it out.
Oh, it is.
But I think after you do that, there's only so many times you can talk about it, and then coming and having some kinesiology is going to be like the icing on the cake, so to speak.
Well, I would go to the kinesiologist first. That'd be my first place to go.
Okay.
That's because of my experience now with it. And then it was so powerful for me, I wanted to study it and become one.
Yeah.
And what I would say about that talking it out is it's like that expression, you can talk till the cows come home, but it's not diffusing the stress. So I've done this before, and I know I've shown you this one.
Yes.
If you hold your forehead,
That's
and if you put your hand at the back, and now talk it out, because you've connected the front brain to the back brain, so the blood will keep flowing. Now, if that is happening, you diffuse it.
See, you can just walk around people and just talk to them.
That would
Hello, how are you going?
I'm feeling really sad today. I just sort of tell you my story in the coffee shop while I hold my head. But
that's really wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I'll have to book an appointment with you, I think, Molly.
I'd love to work with you.
What's your takeaway from today? Like, what can you tell people who are going through grief?
Well, that you're not alone.
Yeah.
Basically, you're not alone, even when you feel completely alone, and that even your circle of friends has shrunk because you can't keep leaning on them.
Yeah.
And that when you have a kinesiology session, you may talk, you may not want to talk at all, and you don't have to, because like I showed you with your arm, your body will take us wherever we need to go.
It tells you,
Yes, and I've had clients where they have hardly said a word, and you start to balance as soon as you bring their body back into homeostasis, so balance, so they're not stressed. Sometimes they just start talking. And they say, oh, and they'll remember a story, they'll remember something, it will come out, and that will then direct the balance a bit further.
Okay.
And often it goes right to the nub of it.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's really cool. So what's the name of your business?
Conscious Heart Kinesiology.
Conscious Heart Kinesiology.
Yes.
Okay, and we'll put all the details up so that anyone can contact Molly. It'll be on my website and social media. Thanks so much, Molly.
Oh, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Vicki.
Thanks.